You have a beautiful view of the highlands, Sebek said finally. The land belonged to my family for centuries, Paxson replied, nodding in agreement. Once we owned for as far as the eye can see, but now we make do with 15 acres in this view. Sebek loosened the ties on his black robes to open them at the neck and let the breeze cool him. This would be enough for me if I lived here. Paxson didn't respond, thinking it was enough for him too, but he would have liked to experience the time when it all belonged to the Lee family, and they were kings and queens of the Highlands, just to see what it would have felt like. I've come to ask a favor of you, Sebek said, putting down his empty cookie plate and cup. I want you to come with me to Paranor to speak with the Ardrees. You won't be gone long, maybe one night, maybe two. No more, and then I would bring you back again. She's going to take away my sword, isn't she? Paxson declared, unable to help himself. The words just tumbled out of him, and he felt a deep emptiness at the truth he knew they carried. Sebek stared at him. Do you mean the one you wear, strapped across your back? That one? No, I don't think that's what she has in mind. She wants to talk to you about something else, but it isn't my place to speak for her. She wants to do this in person, but she did not choose to come herself, did she? She doesn't go much of anywhere these days, Paxson. She is very old and frail, and it is an effort for her just to get through the day while staying at home. You would be doing her a service by going, and I think maybe doing a service for yourself before matters are concluded. He paused. You know of her, don't you? You are familiar with her name and history? Paxson nodded. Aefinglo Elecidil. He knew very well who she was. Almost everyone did, and almost everyone knew her history, or as much of it as she allowed them to know. She had been alive for more than a century and a half, kept so by the Druid sleep. Once within the protective confines of the sleep, Druids stopped aging until they woke again, and Ardrees was entitled to use it as often as he or she thought advisable, maintaining consistency in the rule of the Druid order through longevity. But Aefinglo Elecidil was famous for long before her time as the Ardrees in the Fourth Druid Order. She was a member of the Elven royal family, and in her youth she had helped her sister, Arling, a chosen of the Elcris, pass safely through the ordeal required for her to become the successor to the Elcris when the old tree died. She had stood with the Olmsford twins, Redden and Railing, against the demon hordes when they had broken free of the Forbidding. She had spearheaded the quest undertaken by the Druid Order under Khyber when it had gone in search of the missing Elfstones of Fairy, and because of her efforts, one set of the precious stones, at least, had been recovered. There were rumors that all of them had been found and returned to the Four Lands, but that the others had been lost again. The ones that remained were said to be scarlet in color, but few had ever seen them. They were kept at Paranor in the possession of the Druids as a part of the edict regarding recovered magic and its care and usage. The elves, he knew, had laid claim to those elfstones, demanding their return. After all, the elves already had the blue elfstones in their care. Why shouldn't they be given possession of the scarlet stones as well? But Aefinglo had denied their demands repeatedly, insisting that the Druid edict on the collection and preservation of magic superserved any nationalistic claims. She was content to let the elves keep the seeking stones, which had been in their possession for thousands of years, but not those scarlet talismans, now referred to as the draining stones. So, the antagonism and suspicion that had plagued her throughout her life continued, and Aefinglo Elisdil was never accepted back into the Elven nation as one of their own. She had made her choice, and she would have to live with it. She had chosen the Druid way, embraced its creed, and enforced its laws, and it was clear that this is how it would always be. She was a Druid first, and an elf second. All of this was common knowledge, or common to the Lees and the Olmsfords who had grown up with it, or heard about it later from their parents and grandparents. So Paxson knew something of Aefinglo, but none of it lessened the wariness he felt for Druids in general. "I'm not sure how I feel about all of this," he admitted, locking eyes with Sebek. "Even the thought of going to Paranor makes me uneasy." Sebek nodded. "I understand, but I assure you that you will be in no danger if you come, and will be brought back whenever you are ready. The Ard Rees only desires a chance to talk with you, nothing more." Paxson thought about leaving Chris behind, about the risk that might be involved if he did. Arcanon might discover he was gone and take advantage of it, but he didn't want to say anything to Sebek about that particular concern, because the Druids might not know about those events after all. Sebek didn't even seem to know the truth about his sword. He looked away. He could simply refuse to go. He probably should. But what if what Aefinglo Elisdil wanted to talk to him about was important? What if it concerned Arcanon and might give him a way to help protect Chris? What if it did have something to do with the Sword of Lee, and he would anger her by refusing even to discuss it? What if he were simply being foolish and cowardly by imagining all sorts of things that weren't real? Wasn't he better off just going and getting it over with? "All right, I will come," he said, "but I'll need time to say goodbye to my mother and sister. I need to make sure they will be all right without me." The young Druid smiled. "Why not let me speak with them? I can reassure them that they won't have to worry about you." He climbed to his feet. I shall start immediately with your mother. And before Paxton could collect his wits sufficiently to question the suggestion, Sebek was walking into the house, calling his mother's name.